Go! What's going on in Hot Atlanta? Live from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P Entertainment and K.L.P Studios. It's K.L.P Aftermath Morning with your host, K.L.P Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, buddy. Shout out to all the podcasters out there, man. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting episode of the K.L.P Aftermath Podcast. I am your gracious, highly favored, humble, healthy, great spirit. It's Tuesday night. Podcast host K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. So we had to switch some things up, T. The reason why being, the last episode we did last week, you guys noticed I just went straight into the intro. So we, unfortunately, we got flagged from our music that we played last time. We played Make It Last Forever with Keith Sweat, and our distribution partner, they flagged us. And it's not so much my distribution's team's fault. It's, it's nobody's fault but my own, So, of course, Spotify and iHeart and Apple, we played music that we didn't necessarily have clearance to, and they copyright us. So they were very understanding. They said, hey, you can't use this music in the intro of your podcast because unless you got special clearance. And to get clearance for music like that is very, very hard for us. I know for bigger networks like the Joe Budden podcast, for an example, they can play music because they can get the clearance and they have the viewership. Not saying that we don't have the viewership, because we do have the viewership here on our channel. We're just not as big as Joe Budden, not yet anyway. So we didn't have the clearance for that song. So I got nervous. I had it before. If you guys remember way back in the day, we played music for the intro for our podcast for the station, and the network, not my distribution, but Spotify and iHeart, they flagged our whole channel and took our whole channel down. And that's something that I don't want to happen again, right? Because we just have so many viewership here, and we have so many great all-time plays on these two radio stations. So I don't want to screw that up and just continue to just defy the authority and say, nope, I'm going to play music anyway, and then they get our channel taken down entirely. Don't want that to happen. So moving forward, we unfortunately won't be able to play music because I don't want to get into the risk of getting copyrighted for our podcast, because we are an ever-growing podcast. We are ever-growing station. So I want to continue our channel as much as we can. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the podcast here today, K.L.P Aftermath Podcast. Let me make sure I let y'all know, because the Bro Code podcast has been very, very phenomenal. If you guys missed the episode from last night, of course, it was a short episode, yes, because we had to crunch some things up from yesterday being Monday. Monday are typically the office days where we have a lot of work we got to catch up on. And I had a lot of work to catch up on Monday. I had a very good meeting, but long meeting outside the office with a couple of producers. We're working on a project. I'm getting ready to sign an NDA, so I can't tell you what it is, but it was a long meeting there. And then I came back and I said, T, I'm late. I know. I'm sorry. Let me just have a quick bite to eat. We can just do Bro Code real quick before we close the office. And we had to make sure we had time we all had to make sure we got time to go home to catch Raw, right? Because I had to talk about it here on the show. So I apologize for the episode of Bro Code being kind of short yesterday, but we did talk about some good stuff. T talked about the upcoming updates with the Indiana Pacers now that they're going to get ready to go against the Thunder. And I had a great day today because we talked about it. And this is story time, really. I went to, as you guys can see, I went today to get my hair cut because I needed one. You ever just had that feeling, guys, when you're ready for a haircut and like my hair grows back faster than I want it to? That's why I always try to get it cut every 2 weeks, because my hair grows back. Not just like my hair on my head, but my facial hair. It just, when you shave and clean it up, it grows back like the next day. So I ended up going to Fadeologist. Shout out to them. Shout out to my guy, Byron. We were talking about it. We were talking about the finals. Honestly, I kind of want to save it for Bro Code for tomorrow morning, because we do have Bro Code podcast tomorrow. But Pacers in 6. right? I just think Pacers is gonna get it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna wait until we film Bro Code podcast to really go more in depth into it. But when it comes down to it, we were talking about it at the barber shop tea, and it was very, very fun. I genuinely enjoy barbershop talk. I do. Because the barbers, shout out to Byron, but there's another guy that works at Fadeologist and a couple of fellas that came in getting ready to get their haircut. We were talking about the finals. Everybody was dabbling into the finals, and it was a heated conversation. So I'm over here getting my haircut, getting ready for it, and I get very excited when I have barbershop talk because you know my friends we talk about gaming and anime and all that stuff, which is amazing. But I got a great group of guys where I could just sit down and talk about sports for a minute. Um, and I'm barely new into it, right? You guys can see it on Bro Code Podcast. I try to be an expert analyst. I'm working on it. A lot of people are working on this broadcasting thing. When it comes down to sports, I'm working on it. And I have to say that because I know a lot of people watch or listen to our show and think, okay, does Kennedy know what he's talking about? I semi know what I'm talking about. When it comes down to the sports, I'm trying to get into it because I genuinely do enjoy watching sports. Over this past weekend, you guys heard it on Bro Code Podcast yesterday. I've watched a whole hell of a lot of softball over this weekend. It was very fantastic. To say the least, I've had so much fun watching softball. I watched a little bit of the WNBA. Obviously, I'm watching the finals, OKC and the Pacers, so that way I have something to talk about on Bro Code Podcast. But I'm learning this analyst and this sports thing. So when I say I'm not a super duper expert and I don't know every player of every team of every sport, I don't. It feels good when I'm in the barbershop and they're talking about it because the barbers and even the fellas that were getting ready in line for their haircut, they knew a lot of players. And I'm over here like, I know some of the players. I don't know everybody's age, everybody's player number, jersey. I don't. Um, but it feels good to have those conversations, to say the least. I enjoyed the barbershop talk, and it was very, very fun to just have that conversation. Honestly, I think Pacers is going to get it in 6. Pacers in 6, But it felt good. Again, the reason why I'm bringing up, sports and Bro Code podcast, because I genuinely do hope you guys enjoy the show. Me and T, we cut it up in the studio. And I announced it on Bro Code podcast, but I'll announce it tonight. So Wednesday, when we're in the studio, I'm going to have my film team have the camera set up for me. T will not be on camera. Again, T and Monica and even Simone, they're not really too keen on being in front of the cameras. That's not their thing. But I enjoy being in front of the camera because the social media for me is just an exclusive deal I got for myself for Bro Code Podcast. So we're going to be in the studio. I'm going to have the camera up and being on camera when I speak. Again, T, no power, no thing for you, T. T just don't like being in front of camera. He can. He's on the poster, right? That's him on the poster. But he's just like, do I have to be on camera, Kennedy? And I said, no, you don't have to. It's just something extra that I'm doing for me. There's no harm, no foul when it comes down to that. So I'm very excited for that on Wednesday. When it comes down to it, it's more shows, right? I'm trying to give you guys more shows. We're trying to keep it steady with TLT. You guys know that rebrand for TLT. TLT, the Lucas Tribune show with that. This show, Bro Code Podcast, and also what happened was with me and Evelyn. Just to give you guys so much content. I think our social media has been growing so much. Mine personally, Swanky Radio, The Heat, K.L.P. Entertainments, especially with them with the new logo. You guys see it in the corner there, the bug there. The K.L.P. Entertainment gets a new logo. So we're just innovating our stuff. And I hope that you guys love what we're doing. Very, very fantastic. Now, to give you a little chit chat before we get into the topics of conversation, that barber talk, again, that's always appreciated. I wish I would have gotten the old podcast name. It was called the 3 Generations Podcast. That was the project that I was working on to get barbers on camera as they're cutting hair. They had those conversations because when we were talking, it felt like we were on the show. Didn't quite happen, right? It didn't work out the way we wanted to, but it's okay. It just wasn't in the cards. But when we have those barbershop moments, I genuinely enjoy those moments. And then end up going to the gym again, getting ready for my vacation time at the end of June. By the way, guys, it is going to be announced here on all platforms the radio shows and on Instagram and Facebook. I'll let you guys know the time frame where we're going to be closing the studio down. It will be, and I'll announce it again, but it will be June 23rd. Well, actually, technically, it's going to be June 21st is when we're going to close out. It's the weekend. June 21st through the 28th is where K.L.P Entertainment will be shut down. We got to have vacation. I got to give my crew and my staff members, my producers, my directors, I got to give everybody some vacation time. We've been booking it. We've been booking it. We've been booking it. We've been working. We're closing the whole thing down for vacation. I'm going to Punta Cana. A lot of my producers and writers, they're going on vacation to kind of give them that summer vacation break. And then we'll be back for 2 days. And then I think we might be closing it down for another week. I know. I'm sorry. We might have a second sort of vacation coming up in July. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It's still setting the cards there. I just know I won't be in town. I will be not in studio, not in the office for those 2 weeks. Again, when I work year round with my school, of course, with my PhD program, K.L.P Entertainment as a whole, and ProMed Consulting. That is our medical company that we're a part of now. I gotta have vacation, y'all. I'm sorry. But very, very soon we'll announce that very on. Went to the gym today, and then I came here for, the podcast. I had to make sure that I charged my car up because I was traveling a lot with my car. If you guys know, I have electric vehicle. And you guys want to know what grinds my gears. Another story time before we get into the shenanigans on the podcast. You want to know what grinds my gears? And it grinds my gears because I do charge my car at a public charge station. I do. Now, obviously, I do charge at home on the occasion that it needs to be charged at home. I get it. Yes, I dabble into it. But when I don't have time to really charge it at home because I got to leave out again, I try to charge it at a charge station. Let me tell you, I say to a tidbit to a lot of people who have electric vehicles, and in the state of Georgia, here in Atlanta, I'm seeing a lot of people with electric vehicles. And I saw today there was a Range Rover that was electric. I didn't even know Range Rovers made electric vehicles. So yesterday I ended up going by my favorite charge station here in Atlanta. It was the only one that was near the studio that had level 3 charging. If I do say this to a lot of people, and maybe this is an education thing for a lot of people who are just dabbling into the electric vehicle. I got to say, if you're thinking about getting an electric vehicle, get one because it's really, really cool. I enjoy mine. You're going to pay for it, right? Electric vehicles are, and some of them are not so expensive, right? Mine is quite expensive, but not that expensive. It's not over $100,000, I'll say that, but it's not cheap as well. There are some cheaper electric vehicles that people dabble into for the budget, which is good. I always will say electric vehicles really good because I don't have to worry about a full engine. I don't have to worry about getting oil changes. I don't have to worry about anything happening to it. Not to say that cars don't break down because every car does that. I take good care of my stuff. So I don't really have that fear that something's going to go wrong because I take really good care of my things. You'd be surprised. A lot of people don't take care of their things. It drives me crazy when I see, not my close friend circles, but I have friends back in the past where they had these really nice vehicles and there was trash all up in their cars. Their car was never washed. That drives me nuts when I see that, when somebody have a very luxurious car and they just treat it like a trash can. I can't dabble with that. That drives me nuts. I don't see why people do it, but people do it, T. But when people take care of their things, it lasts longer. I'll say that. So my car, I plan on having my electric vehicle for a very, 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 very long time, because it's amazing and it's electric. I really have to just worry about the battery, right? Batteries do, if you take good care of your battery, it's going to last you a very long time. But obviously with EVs, with the batteries, over time they will wear and tear. You got to replace that battery. I won't have to replace mine anytime soon, knock on wood, by the grace of God. But I do take care of my things. I do say to a lot of people, charge your electric vehicle at 80%. You only, and it's not to say you can't charge it at 100% because you can. It is if you are traveling more than 5 hours, right? If you are traveling a very, very long distance and you have to take your EV, then do that. Personally, for me, here in Atlanta, it's crazy because my siblings ride me on this. If I have to travel a very, very long distance, if I have to travel 3+ hours, then I don't take my car. I know it sounds crazy. Yes. I either hitch a ride somewhere or I rent a car. If I got to travel, if I'm driving 5 hours somewhere, I will not be taking my electric vehicle. I know it's crazy for some people, but you got to understand. And even though here in America, we are turning more into the electric vehicles, not soon, maybe not in the next 10 years, 20 years or so, but eventually everybody and their mama's going to have electric vehicle because that's the future, right? When that happens, they're going to be able to build more electric charge stations, right? If they do that, when they do that, then that's when I will say, okay, I'll travel my car 5 hours because I know we're in the future where there's going to be electric charge stations everywhere. Case in point, when I went to Fort Valley to film the Georgia Basketball Association tournament for basketball, men's and women's, I had to borrow my mama's car, right? I did because it was here in Atlanta. Fort Valley was about 3 hours, give or take. I was like, Mom, let me borrow your car. You take my car, I'll take your car because she has a Beamer, but hers is not electric. So I said, hey, let me borrow your car, right? That's just me. I'm crazy with it. Now, I have traveled my car. The most I traveled my EV is 2 hours, right? Rightfully so. That's no biggie. I've done that before. Um, all within here in Georgia. I don't plan on going out the state with my car. I don't. I will fly. I would never drive my car up to New York. Of course, I'm flying up there. Who has a car in New York anyway, right? So the whole point of this conversation, what grinds my gears is what I meant to get to. I tried to go to the electric charging yesterday. I say this to a lot of people. I I understand if you charge your vehicle and you have somewhere to be. Um, I don't. I want to say it is acceptable if there are multiple charge stations in a shopping area, like let's say a grocery store, because it does happen to where people pull up, they pull up their car up, they charge, and they go run their errands. Right. That's the key point. My favorite electric charge station I like to go through is the one that there's two electric charge stations in the same area, not very close to each other, but very far, but they're in the same facility. One charge station I like because it has level 3 charging. If you guys know what level 3 charging is, it is the highest voltage to where you can charge your car. So the way it charges your car faster, right? Going from 40% to 80%, it takes me about 10 minutes, give or take, with the mileage that needed on my car, right? About 10, 15 minutes, right? Level 1, that's an overnight thing, right? That's 20 hours of charging. If you're going from 40 to 80%, you have to wait overnight. Sometimes a day and a half for that to charge on level 1, right? When you don't have time for that, when you need the car because you're traveling again the next day, you go to a level 3 charging station. And there's only one level 3 charging station that I like to go to that's in my facility audience, and that's the only one that's within the radius, right? What grinds my gears when it's only one, somebody was charging their vehicle, very SUV vehicle, right? SUVs can be electric. I would never get an SUV that's electric because the bigger the vehicle, the bigger the battery, the longer it's going to take to charge, right? I'm going in there and I'm like, okay, do I have time to wait? The person was not even there. They plugged their car up and there's no grocery store nearby, right? In the one I like to go to. So the SUV was getting charged. Nobody was there. It was empty. I was like, no, I'm going to have to come back because I'm not waiting. Right? Because you can't really, when somebody's there and they're done charging, they know, okay, my charge is done. Let me leave. When you leave your car there for charging and you just go about your business and you just leave your vehicle, you can't really tell unless you got the app. You can't really tell when your car is done charging. And you can't really, as you need a charge, you can't really touch somebody else's vehicle. That's what grinds my gears. I say to a lot of people, with the exemption, if you're at a big charge station where there's multiple charge stations, they're exempt. And if it's in a shopping mall, they're exempt. That's a different scenario. But if it's only one charging station and you just leave your car, first of all, when I go to that charge station, and I was able to do it today because I couldn't do it yesterday. I was able to do it today. Nobody was there. I was like, thank God everybody's in the office. Let me go and get this quick charge on. I never leave my vehicle behind on a charge. I don't. Right? Lucky for me with my BMW, it does lock when my phone or my keys are away from the vehicle. It locks automatically. Right? I always hit the button to make sure I lock it when I leave and when I'm parking it. But if I just walk out with my phone and my phone, my keys, and even my key card, because I do have what's nifty about BMW, so you can have a key card, right? To where I don't really have to have my phone or my keys to drive my car. I can have my little card, my special card. But I take all that with me. It locks automatically, right? When I'm away from the vehicle. Most EVs do that nowadays. Most modern cars do that nowadays. But just imagine if your car didn't do that and you left your keys in there or you left your key card in your car charging, somebody can easily just open it, unplug it, drive it, and steal it. I would never do that, but some people do that. That's what grinds my gears. I say to a lot of people, don't do that. Don't be a douche. Be by your car so that way when your car is done charging, be done with it, right? And it grinds my gears too because it happened at the same charge station T where people would charge it and it will be done charging and they would just sit there. And I hunted somebody to say, hey, your car's done charging. Folks need, because I'm in line, this person in line waiting to get a charge. You need to move on. So I don't know. It's what grinds my gears with EVs at charge stations, but that's just something that I got to get with it. Now, coming up next on the podcast, of course, I've got to do my WWE Raw review. Of course, today is Tuesday, so I was able to catch Raw. Guys, stay tuned for. And if I haven't done it yet, I probably did it over the weekend. I can't remember when we did Bro Code Podcast last, besides yesterday, T. SmackDown. I am going to be talking about WWE SmackDown on Bro Code Podcast because SmackDown does come on Friday. And on occasion, we do Bro Code Podcast also on Saturday. On occasion. It depends. So catch my SmackDown review on Bro Code Podcast, sports show there. So WWE Raw. Before I get to that, this is a sad thing for WWE. So if you guys don't know what happened recently, Ron Killens, aka R-Truth, was let go, was released from WWE a few days ago, and this shocked everybody. And I got to say, it kind of shocked me too, because although I knew he wasn't going to win against John Cena at Saturday Night's main event, I knew that wasn't going to happen, right? Ron Killens gave WWE a lot of years. And I can't really fault too much on WWE when it comes down to R-Truth's release because it's business. It's not personal, right? I do hope that they change that stigma because I've got to say, and I'm not saying that Triple H sees color, right? I can't say that because I'm a Triple H fan. Although I would love to see, and if I can speak openly here, I would love to see WWE pull more black superstars in main roster, right? Yes, we got Jade Cargill. Yes, we have Bianca Belair. Yes, we have Naomi, right? Yes, I guess you can kind of count Jey Uso in that category. He's more Samoan than he is black. But I want to see more African American superstars in main roster. I do. Other than Carmelo Hayes, right? Because there's so much black talent in WWE. Uba Finney, Trick Williams, Devontae Evans, right? I know they got to do their run with NXT. I get it. I understand that. But we need more representation for us African Americans for WWE, I feel. And I hope WWE is watching because it is time, right? Because you're letting go R-Truth. There's not many African American, and I guess I'm saying male African American superstars. There's not many on main roster right now, right? And if I can speak openly here, it's time that WWE change that, T. It's time because if you're going to prey on your motto of together forever, then, now, forever together, and being more diverse in this company, that's something you need. And WWE, I mean, they've got AAA Collide, which is great. That's a great idea. You've got people from all over the world, culture-wise, in WWE, but it is time to have us on main roster, is what I feel. And a lot of people were very sad about Ron Killen's release. I was sad about it, right? Even though he was the spoof, it kind of drives me nuts a little bit where he has to be the funny black guy in the company. I don't like that stigma, not just with WWE, but for any company. I didn't like R-Truth's, oh, he's the only the funny black guy in the company, right? And it says to be said in Celebrities Room, I Show Speed, Casanet, that was in WWE. Oh, they're funny and they're black, so we're gonna just have them be funny and black on our company, and it's gonna sell, right? That should not be the stigma, and that's kind of what I'm picking up, right? If I can speak openly here, I do want to see more black representation in WWE, not just in NXT, right? NXT is a bang up show, is a very fantastic show, but it's time to get them on main roster. I think it's time. Um, and it's not to say, again, before I get, because I've been chewed out for this before. It's not to say that I'm tired of seeing white people. That's so not what I'm saying. Big fan of Triple H. Big fan of CM Punk. I think those two, with Triple H being at the helm, is business. It's not personal. It's business. Right. He has a board of directors to answer to. Right. Um, I like to see what The Rock is doing. The Rock is on the board, but I don't really see The Rock doing much. Right. When I see, and again, it's not shit talk because Rock can whoop my ass. Right. But yeah, you're on the board, but I don't really see, and maybe it's something that we're not seeing that's behind the closed doors. Maybe that's just something we don't know. But I haven't seen The Rock do as much. And it's like, okay, Rock, what are you doing? Like, you're on the board of directors. You were in that WrestleMania, right? We have it to where now WrestleMania no longer will be in New Orleans, right? It's been talks that they're going to be going back to Vegas. I think that's a TKO move. Hey, it's dollar signs, dollar bills, add dollars, money. And I know this because we're trying to see if we can score tickets to Saturday night's main event in Evolution that's going to be here in Atlanta. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't know if we're going to swing it because I looked at Ticketmaster and them tickets are $900 a pop per person per night. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for right now. But I digress. That's what the chants in Tulsa, they were chanting R-Truth's name the entirety of the night. Maybe they're listening. Maybe there's some hope that they might change their mind. I think they should change their mind because R-Truth still have a lot left in the tank. I just want to see, and honestly, I want to see R-Truth become champion. Not the 24-hour bullshit that they did. I want to see him be a world champion. Just one world champion. One time. Just one time. Right? But hey, I don't work for WWE. I've tried to apply to WWE. I don't know the ins and outs with WWE. It's business. I don't think it's personal. I really don't. Some people are taking it personal. Which is sad that people are, and I get it. I completely understand why people would take it personally. I don't think it's personal. I think it's just business. I think it's Triple H responding to the boards. And, you got to think about contracts too. Everybody has a set dollar contract. The more you're into the company, and let me tell you, R-Truth was there back from the Attitude Era days, right? Of course, he's been in and out, but R-Truth's been there from that era. So he's getting more expensive, right? Because he's a veteran. So that might have been to where WWE say, hey, Truth, either you take this offer or we can't renew your contract because we can't afford that, right? As a businessman myself, because again, I got 2 degrees in business, I understand the business market. Like, hey, if we can't afford your contract, we're going to have to let you go because we can't afford your contract, right? And I understand if Truth said, okay, if you can't afford my contract, then don't just go ahead and release me. Don't renew me because that's my set number. It's business. It's nothing personal. Sad to see R-Truth go, honestly, but let's get to the review. Just 5 days before Money in the Bank, of course, we've had some announcements. Of course, you had the men's Money in the Bank final match, qualification match. It was CM Punk, AJ Styles, El Grande Americano. You had a women's Money in the Bank qualifying match. Stephanie Vaquer finally is a main roster stay for Monday Night Raw. She joins the rings of Roxanne Perez as officially being the contracted superstar for Raw. She is officially a Monday Night Raw superstar versus Liv Morgan versus Ivy Nile. Then you had Jey Uso, Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Of course, the show starts off with the segment of CM Punk hitting the ring. Of course, Sami Zayn comes out and comes to the ring and say, "Hey, Punk, I need you to win. I need you to take down Seth Rollins." So if you guys don't know, Seth Rollins does qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. And I look forward to Money in the Bank this weekend because it is Money in the Bank. It is Los Angeles, right? We had AAA Worlds collide on the same weekend as Money in the Bank. So I do think this is going to be a great pay-per-view. Of course, you had those quotes from Sami Zayn. They're worried about Punk, and we don't know if Punk is going to prevail in this match. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. We'll get to it. So that whole segment was cut up when it come down to that. Of course, I talked about it at the beginning of the show. Punk has a way to do good wordplay. He says here, it feels good to be back in the Thunder. It feels good to be back in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Obviously, we're going to have Indiana Pacers versus Thunders at the finals. CM Punk says that, hey, I think Oklahoma City Thunders are on pace to be the winners at finals again versus the Pacers. Of course, Pat McAfee is a Pacers guy. Let me tell you, he's going to ride for his Pacers. Of course, Michael Cole they lost the bet, and I feel for Michael Cole because honestly, I do like the Pacers, but I'm a Knicks fan because I love New York. So to find out that the Knicks will not be in the finals, obviously, hurt my heart, hurt my feelings, and it hurt a lot of people from New York's feelings. And of course, Michael Cole is from New York as well, and he had to wear the Pacers as a bet because the Knicks choked up on the Pacers in their series. So that segment was really, 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 really good. Stephanie Vaquer, very, very good match against Liv Morgan and Ivy Nile. Again, I've been saying this a whole heck of a lot. I will say it again. You try to like Ivy Nile. It's just, I don't know. I just don't. She's strong. I'll give her that. She's strong, right? She was on the latest podcast with Sheamus, lifting all them heavyweights. Ivy Nile can whip my ass left and right. I get it. She's strong, right? I kind of saw this coming, that Vaquer will come up on top simply because she is the hottest superstars. Obviously, you had AAA Collide coming Money in the Bank weekend, right? Stephanie Vaquer gets a lot of chants, a lot of cheer for the culture. So I kind of knew that this was going to happen. I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they're going to have that tag team championships for a while because that is the market. That is the story that they're trying to sell. I feel good for Stephanie Vaquer. I'm a big fan. I think she's amazing. She's an amazing superstar. And honestly, Stephanie Vaquer is hot. She's very, very hot. When she do that kiss of death move, Booker T loses his shit. It's so funny. But I do think Stephanie Vaquer will come up on top. It would be good if she won Money in the Bank. I'm a Stephanie Vaquer fan. I am. I think she's very talented. I think she has a lot to prove as a young superstar. And it's good to see that happen for sure. Now, of course, you had the Judgment Day versus the War Raiders. War. Again, I like the New Day's theme song. I really do. Shout out to that. I work out today. Every time I step into the gym, when I first step into the gym and I get ready to get started for my workout, that's the first song that I'm playing. It kind of gets me hyped. It's a bop for sure. I just don't, and I'm glad that they're champions, honestly. I don't like them on commentary. They're a little bit distracting, a little bit annoying, just a little bit. But Jessica Carr, again, there was kind of a ruffle of feathers there. Jessica Carr said, we're not doing that. She's my favorite referee, besides Stephanie LaShawn, because Stephanie Vaquer, she don't play that. She don't play that shit, right? You do something wrong, get out of there, right? So very, very good to say the least. Of course, they played into the role of JD McDonough, who goes off the apron into the announce table, landing his legs on the table. Has to be careful, right? Because obviously we're still going to remember it happened Monday Night Raw in Atlanta, State Farm Arena, where JD McDonough got hurt on the announce table. Um, Match was okay. We give it a C plus. It wasn't the greatest. Of course, Judgment Day does come up on top because Roxanne Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, comes out, gives the War Raiders a distraction, and they come up on top and winning the match. Very, very good. Um, Again, the man Becky Lynch, Laura Vicarious segment. I just don't know. I can't wait to see the match. I'm not really a big fan of their segment. They're just yelling at each other. I guess it's funny because they got the accents, right? And when they have the accents, it's just kind of funny to hear. I just can't wait until they beat the living crap out of each other in Money in the Bank, uh, uh, or excuse me, at the Money in the Bank pay per view, to say the least. Now, as we continue on to the match here, it was Jay Uso, and Sami Zayn. Let me tell you, you could tell Sami Zayn don't know how to dance. It is so funny. Now, the match they gave it to be, Sami Zayn comes out with Jey Uso. And you could tell when somebody don't know how to dance, they start bopping around and just doing these unnatural movements around. It is so funny to see Sami Zayn dance. Because, like, with Jey Uso and everybody, they got a little swing to the yeet, right? Sammy just like, yeah, I'm feeling it. It is the funniest thing when Sami Zayn tried to get into it. He got into it now. It was just funny looking. Of course, then you had them two versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. I really like what they did to their theme song, right? Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker's song was merged together. Like you could hear both songs on like an interloop, and they just kind of looped them in and make them sound. They like mixed it together. That was pretty cool. I didn't expect that. Of course, there was a distraction from Seth Rollins and company. CM Punk comes out before his match, of course. And we got a lot of CM Punk that night. Of course, Uso and Zayn was defeated by Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed via disqualification because of the distraction from both Seth Rollins and company and CM Punk as well. So it ended up being a disqualification between those two. Good match. Very, very good to see. Then you had Kairi Sane versus Raquel Rodriguez. I'm gonna say it. I'm not a big fan of Kairi Sane's pirate gimmick, but hey, it is something that it's there. They gave us a good match for sure. They gave it a C plus, of course. Sami Zayn defeats Raquel Rodriguez for that, and then the final main event match was CM Punk, AJ Styles, and American Grande Americano team. I gotta say, I'm not really I'm not big fans of the outcome of this match because El Grande Americano, Chad Gable, wins this match. Maybe it comes to an end with this gimmick that they're rolling with Chad Gable. Maybe at Money in Bank it might happen. We don't know. I was rooting for CM Punk, obviously, because I do want to see CM Punk become champion one last time because, honestly, both of them, AJ Styles and CM Punk, they are getting up there, right? They're veterans. I'm not saying they're old as dirt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they're getting a little bit more older, right? CM Punk only got so much left in the tank. AJ Styles got so much left in the tank, right? As they're getting more hurt. But it felt good to see them two square off, CM Punk and AJ Styles. They've been through WWE. They've been outside of WWE. They've been through the trenches together, right? So it feels good to see them go against each other when it comes down to it. Of course, Seth Rollins comes out with a distraction on Punk and AJ Styles, along with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker as payback from the Sami Zayn and Uso match that same night, last night. They gave the matchup a B plus when it comes down for it for sure. And Americano wins out on top, of course, with the distraction of the metal plate on top of the mask. Bam to AJ Styles, and that completes that match. Great all around. They give the whole night a B. Again, the fans were chanting R-Truth. It's going to be chanted like that for a while. I do say it, it's unfortunate, right? I'm going to ride for R-Truth when it comes down to it. The Miz, again, on the article, The Miz unfollowed WWE and all of their social platform networking. I don't think I would have done that if I'm still employed with WWE. you kind of have to be careful. You kind of have to pick your battles when it comes down to it, because it is one of those things that if you're still employed with the company, I wouldn't want to ruffle those feathers. I get the emotion, I get the sadness about it, but I don't necessarily think I would ruffle those feathers if I'm still contracted with WWE. I know the man's got the American Gladiator show that's coming back. He's hosting. I get it. He has different avenues, but I just wouldn't want to. It's an expression I'm gonna say. Don't shit where you eat. So, and a lot of people, a lot of superstars spoke out about it who are still employed with WWE. Don't shit where you eat. But good show again. Money in the Bank is this weekend. We'll be staying tuned and watching up for it for sure. Now, coming up next, I have a movie review. Yes, a movie review. Now, while watching sports, again, softball and WNBA this past weekend and doing all the other outside work that we have going on, for sure, I was able to catch this movie on HBO Max. Now, it's a great time for HBO Max and Netflix. Now, I missed the Tadum event of, obviously, WWE was there. Raw's on Netflix, so obviously they have to be there. This week is a great week for a lot of stuff, right? Simply because I'm a big fan of Ginny and Georgia, right? That's the new, I guess, kind of thriller teen drama show that's on Netflix. I like it. I'm glad they got renewed for the next season, being season 3. That new season will be hitting Netflix this week. I can't wait to watch it so I can give you guys a full review. But while I wait, I saw this trailer of this movie a couple of weeks back. And I thought this would be a very interesting movie to watch. Now, this movie is called Mountainhead. And the reason why I'm giving it an air horn is because it's from the producer and director that did Succession. I'm a big fan of Succession. I've watched that show so many times throughout its full seasons. It is a very good show. And that's Jesse Armstrong. He is one of the executive producers and behind the mastermind behind Succession. Now, I was able to catch this movie not on the 31st when it came out. And I got some thoughts about this show, this movie, because honestly, I thought it was a show. When I saw the trailer, I thought it was a show. Turns out this was a movie. And here's the score. It's a rough score. IMDb gives it a 5.5 out of 10, so that's an F. Rotten Tomatoes gives it an 80%, which is a B minus, right? It's not bad. Metacritic gives it a 66% out of 100, so that's kind of a D. Now, the overall Google review is a 2.1. Now, here is the overview of the movie. Now, the overview of Mountainhead is a 2025 satirical comedy drama filmed, written and directed by J.C. Armstrong, featured a group of wealthy tech billionaires who gather during a global crisis. Now, the theme of the movie, it explores the dynamic among the tech elite as they confront the ramifications of their innovations, particularly in the context of AI technology wreaking havoc worldwide. Of course, Mountainhead debuted in 2025 this year, May 31st on HBO, showcasing the intersection of dark comedy and social commentary on the tech industry's impact. Okay, so this movie is a cool idea in theory. I like shows that are what we call smart shows, right? Succession, Industry is another show that's really good. Hopefully I think they got renewed for a new season, right? Succession, Industry, and now this movie. I like shows that are what I call smart shows, right? When you watch it, you get to think, right? As a CEO and vice president myself, vice president of our medical company, CEO of our entertainment company, there's a lot of business sense that I deal with on a daily basis, right? So I kind of relate, not to these guys, the characters, because they're billionaires. I will be a billionaire. I'm gonna manifest that, but I kind of want to relate to these characters when it comes down to business. Two businesses agree, and then my third business in my doctoral business degree. I can't wait for that to come in my hands, right? But here's where I'm stumped on this show or this movie, rather. I'm keep saying show because I feel that Mountainhead should have been a show, right? You had Randall, played by Steve Carell. You had Venus. Corey Michael Smith plays that character. Rami Youssef plays Jeff, and Jason Schwartzman plays Super. Right. So Super is a billionaire by trade because of his mental health company that make billions. He has this retreat called Mountainhead in Utah in the mountains, and they're all four best friends. They invite the friends over to Mountainhead to retreat, and then you had Venus, who owns this company called Tram Corporated, $1 billion business that dabbles in AI technology. But then you have Jeff, who plays Rami, his real name, who plays Jeff, who also owns a piece of AI technology that Venus wants to buy to make his technology better. Because his technology is out there, his AI technology is out there, but the model is kind of crummy. And he wants to buy a piece of Jeff's technology to enhance his business, right? Randall is a business owner of his own right, but he's kind of like the old head. He's old money, right? And he kind of goes into the fray because they're all billionaires, right? You've seen it, Jeff Bezos and maybe Elon Musk too. They're all buddy because they're all millionaires, right? I'm not trying to get political, but maybe Trump's in that circle too, right? So everybody, all four of them are best friends, and they go to Mountainhead, and they're trying to go onto there because now news out there, and it's so realism because AI, and not trying to get political because it has a little bit of politics in this movie too. Their companies are using AI to spread potentially fake news out there in the medium, and we believe the fake news, right? Within the fake news, there are some protests, right? Free Palestine and Free Gaza. That whole segment is within this movie, so you got to understand that there's some sort of realism into this movie. And I like movies that pull out the realism because this stuff is happening in real life. It is, unfortunately. You had it to where Venus needs to talk to the president, right? Because in realism, right, there are billionaires that have close ties to the presidency and who runs our country, right? There's some realism to it. I'm scurrying over that because it's politics. I don't want to get so much dabble into the politics because I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about this movie called Mountainhead. Towards the end of the movie is where it takes a turn, right? Jeff, I'm relating these characters. Jeff goes to Randall and says, hey, let's team up on this. But then Randall turns on Jeff, goes to Venus and Super and said, hey, Jeff is planning a coup against y'all. He don't have your best interests at heart. We need to kill this guy. If he doesn't sign over his excellent AI technology to us, we're going to kill him. Psychotic. Billionaires are psychotic, right? Billionaires are willing to do anything and anything to make their billions, right? To keep their billions in their hand, they're willing to do it. So towards the end of the movie, they plan, Venus, Randall, and Super, they plan a coup to kill Jeff off. So that way Venus can own a piece of this technology because they're making billions off these fake news and these incidents. Unfortunately, there are some good billionaires out there. There are some bad, evil billionaires out there. There are. So it is very, very interesting. And then you have it to where there's a scene where Venus has his son comes up to the Mountainhead and just to kind of play with his kid a little bit, but it was an awkward conversation between him and his lady he got pregnant with, or the lady that he got knocked up with his kid, his few-month-old kid. So that was an interesting scene. He didn't know how to play with his kids, so because he's a billionaire, he's thinking about what's going on in the real world. And meanwhile, Super has connections to Argentina and different countries, right? You know, billionaires have that power. I'm telling you, billionaires have power to get to these other countries and negotiate deals and whatnot. And then they lock Jeff up into a sauna. They pour gasoline on there, and they had light a torch to go on there. Now, let me tell you, if you pour gasoline in a sauna, don't do this, by the way. You pour gasoline in a sauna, in a hot sauna, and you have fire, you can only imagine lighting that up, poof, you dead instantly, instant kill right there. You won't survive that. And that's what they tried to do in the movie. That didn't happen. Of course, Jeff tries to, sign off their country. He says yes to sign off his AI technology to the three other Mountainheaders. But then at the end of the movie, Jeff said, "Hey, I'm going to retract this offer when I get to the office or when I get home." And that's it. That's what happened. And that's why I'm kind of conflicted about this movie, because there's so much backstory that they didn't give us that I wish they did. And maybe that might be part of it. Maybe Jesse Armstrong, the director who wrote this, said, "Hey, this is a trial run for HBO Max. If this movie works out well, then we're going to make a part 2 or a part 3. Or they probably already make the stuff, right?" And I get it from a business perspective, from a director perspective. You want to make more, you want to make a series, pull out one series at a time, right? Because that's how you make more money in the film industry. I get that part. It was just a lot of misinformation that I missed. There were moments I got a little confused on because I didn't know. It was a wacky, kooky moment when they were at the Mountainhead at the mountains, and they pulled out their chest and they say, "I made $3 billion," and they write $3 billion, and they had their chat in there. That was kooky, but hey, it worked in storytelling. Mountainhead, it's a good one. I say check it out if you're into the business sense of stuff. I just kind of feel like they kind of missed out. There's a lot of backstory that I'm missing from these characters, and I want to know what happened. What? Let's go before Mountainhead and how they formed AI technology. Let's see them in their natural habitat is what I want to see, and I feel like they could have gave us that in a series, because we need another Succession series because they ended Succession. But like I say, it's there. It's something to watch for HBO Max. Is this movie skippable? It could be, because you're gonna get a little confused. You're gonna miss out on a lot of backstory, and there's gonna be a lot of things missing onto it. They say it was comedic. I didn't really feel it to be so much comedic. Dark comedy, I don't. Maybe, but there's just so much more to be into it. I mean, Steve Carell. If you put Steve Carell in something, it's gonna be worthwhile. Steve Carell. It's different to see him in a dark comedy like this because he's like the goof of all movies, right? I did like him in the morning show, right? He got killed off. His character Mitch Kessler dies, but I like him in the morning show because it's another type of dark comedy, his darker acting side, which is very, very cool to see. I'm a big Steve Carell fan because he's really good. I think he should win an Oscar by now, but he's really good at what he does in the acting role of it. Like I say, this movie is skippable, but if you're into the business sense type of movies, check it out. You might like it. You just might like it. So guys, stay tuned when it comes down to it. When it comes down to Broco Podcast, before we wrap, I got to announce Broco Podcast. We're going to be doing a episode tomorrow morning, and I think we're going to do an episode on Thursday as well, because of course I told you guys I've been following close to it. Texas versus Texas Tech locked in for the WCW S finals, not the World Championship Wrestling. No, the Women's College World Series. Of course, coming up, the stage is set for the Women's College finals. The number 6 seed Texas versus the Texas Techs, squaring off in game 1 on Wednesday. They're going to square off in game 1 on Wednesday on ESPN, which I'll be catching at 8. So we're going to be doing Bro Code podcast in that morning. So Thursday is where we're probably going to do another episode. And then Thursday on the 5th, they're going for game 2 as well for ESPN. Same time, at ESPN at 8 p.m. for both Wednesday and Thursday. And then there will be a if necessary game same time on Friday if there is an if necessary game, meaning that if Texas win one game and Texas Tech wins the next game, then that's when they're going to force the if necessary game. Now, if either one of those teams win both their games, then there won't be an if necessary game, and then we'll do a full matchup there too, because Texas Tech did win against Oklahoma. I thought Oklahoma was going to have another 5-peat series, but that didn't quite happen when it comes down to that. And I want to announce real quick. I know we got to wrap. This week is the week, guys. Yeah. Nintendo Switch 2 week is this week. It is going to be launched on the 5th. I checked my Walmart order. It's still intact. Thank God. Knock on wood. I know because some people's accounts they've been canceling their pre-order. I think that happened for a lot of people. I think I said this on Bro Code last night, but I think it happened for people who got the pre-order canceled. They probably used a card that didn't have the funds on there. Is what I think happened, right? Because I don't think Walmart has a shortage and they over pre-ordered people. I don't think that's the case. I think they charged a card that didn't have the right funds on there. I checked my account, my funds are gone, which rightfully so. I saved up money for the funds to be gone for Switch 2. So the reason why I bring that up is because we got a lot of things to do. We have, hopefully, knock on wood, if the Switch 2 comes into the studio, then Thursday's podcast episode will be an exclusive special podcast. We'll be right here in the studio, but I'm going to be doing an unboxing video instead of giving you guys a full podcast of news and etc. That's the purpose of K.L.P. Aftermath. Is going to be a special episode when we're going to be unboxing the Nintendo Switch 2. So I say to a lot of people that like to listen to our podcast on iHeart and Apple, you still can. But if you want to see the unboxing, then you might need to watch the podcast on Spotify video, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever you get the video version of this podcast, right? And also, I'm still debating on if it's going to be K.L.P. Aftermath, but Summer Game Fest is coming up this week as well. So I will be doing a special on Summer Game Fest live stream as well. That might substitute for a K.L.P. Aftermath again this week. I'm still working out the kinks on that. So a lot of shifting things because a lot of good things are happening. Nintendo Switch 2 unboxing video will be this week. Knock on wood. If Walmart and whoever delivers my console delivers it on time and do their job, then I'll have the console in the studio for you guys. We'll unbox it. And then Summer Game Fest will be this weekend as well. So a lot of great things are happening left and right when it comes down to K.L.P. Entertainment. I'm excited for all of it to come in fruition for sure. So you guys got to stay tuned for that as well. That's going to wrap here on the K.L.P. Aftermath, presented, of course, by K.L.P. Studios and K.L.P. Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, please, thank you. If you're watching our content on any platform you get your podcast from, we thank you guys. And if you're watching the video version, we thank you all so very much. That's going to wrap it up from our entire cast and crew here in the studio. This has been the K.L.P. Aftermath Tuesday night. We'll see you guys in the next episode, and we'll catch y'all tomorrow morning for Bro Code Podcast with me and T. That's going to wrap it up here on the podcast. We love you guys. Stay tuned for next podcast coming up very soon. Until then, stay safe, stay swanky. Peace.
Go, what's going on in Hot Atlanta? Live from Swanky 93.3 and the Heat 94.6 brings back the hottest hip-hop radio show live from K.L.P. Entertainment and K.L.P. Studios. Go! It's K.L.P. Aftermath. Morning with your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
You know what it is? Put your hands up.
Tune in now on any audio platform.
Go.